Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, including today. AT&T gives us a date for when its DSL service and traditional phone service will shut down in most parts of the country. This comes as they're getting rid of their old copper networks. Also, we get some updated numbers on major cable news networks. This is very important to watch. How are they doing? Because news is the #2 reason why people still pay for live TV services, whether it's cable TV or streaming services like Hulu, YouTube TV, Fubo, and so many others. And we got some other news about Peacock and other services coming right up. These stories and a whole lot more in a quick second. First though, if you want to learn more about any of the stories we're about to talk about, check out the show notes and in the first pinned comment. I'll put a link to each story there so you can read them for yourself and come up with your own opinions. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button or hit that thumbs up. Doing one or both lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, so YouTube recommends our videos to more people, helping us grow and hopefully helping you break free from the high cost of TV and still watch the shows that you enjoy. All right, yesterday AT&T had a massive investor conference, one of the regular ones, and one of the things they announced during it was that they're going to be shutting down their traditional copper network. Now with this, that means goodbye DSL, goodbye traditional phone lines. You're not going to get phone over the internet, those VoIP. Is that right? VoIP? Whichever way it goes. Phone services will require an internet connection for your home phone to work. This comes as increasingly home phones are becoming less and less used as people just transition to cell phones. But AT&T wants to shut down these old networks. They're slow, they're expensive to maintain, and they're causing problems because people are also trying to steal those copper lines. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. Now with this, AT&T says that will be happening by the end of 2029, so about 5 more years to come. But with that, they'll transition customers by continuing to expand its fiber network and offering 5G home internet, its new AT&T Air service, which is already rolling out in several markets that don't have its fiber network now. It's kind of a bridge service. It's a 5G home internet service that's actually significantly faster than DSL in many areas, and they're using that as a bridge to get DSL customers off of that DSL. DSL was great at its time when it was released. It was an option that brought internet to many areas that did not have other options, and it was significantly faster. I've had it when I was younger. But now that there's so many better options, and even 5G home internet is a far superior option. Satellite services from like SpaceX's Starlink are also a better option. You see why they want to get rid of it. Plus, they're having a lot of problems. People cutting copper lines off of telephone poles in order to try to sell the copper because of the high price of it. Fortunately, do sometimes also cut fiber lines because they don't know it's fiber. They think it's fiber and they really cut copper, or they really cut fiber instead of getting copper. But all these problems, the legacy cost of this means AT&T really wants to move people off of it over to fiber. AT&T has not been promoting its DSL service as for sale for quite some time as it tries to promote its other options for internet. But it's one more mark. The death of traditional DSL and the death of traditional phone line is near. They're not the only ones that are doing it. Many companies all across the country are also shutting down their legacy copper networks, moving them over to fiber and other options. All right, let's keep moving along. MSNBC, CNN sees sharp viewer declines in November as Fox News jumps. Now, we talked about the huge decline that these networks saw right after the election, but now we're seeing this become something that kind of locked in. We see, for example, some of these networks see as big as a 22% drop in viewership. With that, why is that important? Number one reason people continue to pay for live TV services is sports. Live sports events are very important. Number two is news programming. And number three is live events like the Grammys Awards and other such similar live programming. Why is this all important? Well, let's be honest. If you're just watching reruns of JAG or House or whatever it may be that may be airing on USA Network and other networks, why not just watch it on something like Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix, and others? Often this programming is available whenever you want it on a variety of streaming services. Why pay for it? Well, increasingly they're not, and that's why we see the majority of new cord cutters not going to things like Hulu, YouTube TV, or Fubo. Increasingly, they're going to only on-demand options like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, Max, the list goes on and on. Cable networks need people watching news, they need people watching sports, and they need people watching live events. That's why we're seeing more and more live reality shows and the like, because it draws in viewers, which means advertisers are willing to pay for it because they're watching it live, they're less likely to skip over it. Without this content, the future of cable TV is even in greater doubt, because these cable networks are hoping you'll continue to pay for a live TV service. Well, if you're not watching things live, you're probably not going to do that. This is a big problem for cable networks, not just for Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, but their sister networks out there. Fox Sports 1, Disney Channel, AT&T, others that rely on things like ESPN and Fox News and CNN and MSNBC to keep people subscribed to cable so that they can get some money too, are starting to become very worried that this theory that, oh, people will just continue to pay because they really want their news and their sports may not happen the way they want. I'll watch this closely, but if this trend continues, it could dramatically speed up the death of many of these smaller networks and the death of cable as we know it. I still don't think we have any idea what TV will look like in 10 years. I think it's going to look very different than we think it will. And this may speed that up. We'll keep a close eye on it. All right, next story up. Peacock will have a special alternate version of the Christmas Day game of Kansas City Chiefs, or excuse me, the December 21st game of the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Texans. This will be airing on Peacock exclusively. It will be an alternate version of the cast. Check it out if you're interested. It's a Maddenized version of the game. They'll use the Madden engine and the like to air the game in real time, much like we've seen, The Simpsons and other ones and Disney games, or Disney-fied and Nickelodeon-fied games out there in the past and in the future already announced. Some of these are attempts to bring in younger audiences to the NFL. Some of them are attempts to just try something different. We'll see what happens. Have you watched any of these alternate NFL casts? Do you like them? Do you care about them? Let me know. All right, next up, AT&T has announced plans to expand its 5G and fiber, just like we talked about them shutting down the traditional networks. AT&T aims to reach over 50 million locations with fiber by the end of 2029. So a little follow-up story to our original story at the top of the broadcast. And they hope to modernize their 5G network by 2027, completely overhauling its wireless network, leveraging open technology and deep band spectrum to cover over 300 million people by the end of 2026. This upgrade network promises faster, lightning-fast speeds and will serve as a foundation for future innovations, including AI applications. So basically what AT&T is saying here is that they're going to dramatically improve its 5G network to be even faster. Why is that important? Well, it's rolling out 5G home internet, and this will allow it to offer that in more areas and have more reliable 5G internet to these places. Keep a close eye on this, but I suspect we'll see a whole lot more of this in the future very soon. All right, next up, Family Guy is returning to Adult Swim. After 3 years of being off of Adult Swim, Family Guy is going to return. This comes as Adult Swim continues to expand its hours in the last couple years to be bigger and bigger part of Cartoon Network. Now, some days starting even earlier, I think, 5 p.m. Eastern? Somebody correct me, at its earliest start point during the week. This comes as they're using the fact that increasingly these children networks are being seen by 18 and older adults and not being viewed by their target demographic of children to expand Adult Swim. It will not surprise me if someday in my life, in the next 5 years or so, if Adult Swim becomes a 24/7 channel and some of these kid channels go away. As let's be honest, my daughter who's 12 could care less about any of these Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, or any of that. She's got her Hulu and Disney Plus, and she also has her YouTube, which is probably what she watches the most. But keep a close eye on this. It's great to see them back. Family Guy often credits Adult Swim's bringing Family Guy's popularity up with the reason why the show was renewed after being canceled, and it's become the juggernaut it is today. All right, Pluto TV also announced 9 new channels coming in 2020, or coming in December of 2024. This includes a 24/7 The Twilight channel, but also a bunch of Spanish-related content, including a CNN Spanish channel, and a whole lot more included with it. If you want to see all the channels coming to Pluto TV, check out the story in the show notes. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care. Be safe. I'll be back again real soon.